Welcome to Broad Ideas. Hello, Olivia Newton Allen.
Jeff calls me Olivia Allen Egler Poe.
Oh, I love that. That's great. We have Marion Jones today. Just want everyone to know that we recorded this interview a long time ago. We also want to let you guys know that we will be back next week with our regular scheduled posts.
Thank you to everyone who's reached out, checking in on us. We are all safe and deeply appreciate it. And we will get back to our post next week.
Thanks, everyone. Let's talk to Marion Jones.
Sometimes when the world feels insane, you can take a little peek inside of Rachel's little brain. All these thoughts are swirling round and round inside. So join us on this journey as we take a little ride. We'll talk about dogs and kids and things. We'll talk about chicks and tampon strings. We'll talk about boys that make you cry. We'll talk about death, 'cause people die.
Do you have enough room? I feel like this is like...
You feel like my long legs.
Your long legs. My daughter has long legs, and I do not. Oh, there we go. I do not have that blessing.
How tall are you?
I'm only 5'2". Yeah, but my daughter's legs, like, they go for days.
Yeah, they're really long.
They're really long. Actually, I do want to talk to you about it. We bring the
What is her projected
mic.
height?
I don't.
Do you think
know.
that's accurate?
Yeah. Do you think that's?
I mean,
accurate?
did they do it with
if
your
they say
kids?
5'10", he's probably not going to be 5'2".
Right.
So I'm saying, like,
you find the average.
Not
or,
that 5'2". Not that
Oh, no.
5'2".
Hey,
we
we
all
all
have
have
our
our
challenges. We all have our
I
challenges.
have made my peace with it, with my height.
Guys, hi.
5'2.5".
Okay. You're
every
Polly Pocket.
half. Sure.
but wait,
Portable.
you guys are still young. When I was 5'11", 6 feet.
Oh, wow.
And do you want to know what I am now? Like 5'9.5".
No.
For real.
Oh man.
And it's not my posture like I do.
Yeah.
And I hear my mom in my ear. So just, 5'2.5". Okay.
I'm gonna end up at 4'11". I am shorty. It's okay. It's fine. My daughter's gonna surpass me very
She's
soon.
already surpassing you.
Well, no, she's still
Almost.
here.
You guys, I went
ladders
to
in
the
the house, I hope.
doctor.
Stools.
Oh yes. I can't reach anything.
I went to the doctor for my kids and they did the, the projected height thing. And it was like 5'6". And I was like, oh my God. I was like, really? 5'6", you think? And
Who, Elliot?
it was for like both of them.
Oh.
And
What are their ages?
5 and 9.
Okay.
And they're little, they're little. But I was like, I was just a little surprised because we have tall men in our family. So I was like, 5'6"? Really? I'm like, wow, that's short. And the doctor's like, I'm 5'6".
Oh, oh no.
And he goes, it's not short. Short is, and like starts breaking it down.
Oh, boy.
I wanted to
You struck
die.
a complex
I
right
wanted
there.
to die.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
That's horrible.
That's horrible. That's
Horrible.
why you can't say the things that just come to your mind without thinking about it.
Especially don't get a podcast.
Yeah. Well, and not with the doctor. You're going to find another doctor now. He's
No.
going to always be offended every time you walk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I kissed his ass every time he came in the room after that.
You're like, I baked you cookies.
I'm like, you're just such a competent man.
Oh, my God. So, my daughter with her long legs, she loves to run.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
She was
And
like
she's 10.
10. She
Uh-huh.
just turned 10. So this summer we tried cross country because she thought that would be her thing. But then she tried it and she didn't like that. It was like a big group. You
Yeah.
start out and she couldn't really find her place. But I don't want her to like lose her because she goes, Mom, I love to run. I just feel so free. Like she's just like touching on all that. And she's been doing it for years.
Does she have any natural speed?
Yes.
Okay. So what about her trying track?
That's what I think we would do next. But she didn't want to do that because she doesn't like competing solo. Like she doesn't like the pressure if it's her going against people. If it's like
That's
a
what
group.
cross country is. Oh, okay.
Like she felt like it was more of a group.
Okay. All
So I
right.
don't really know how to guide
Has
her.
she done any team sports, individual sports, soccer, all
she does
that?
she does team sports. Yeah. So it's just interesting, But I think she does have a natural talent for running.
Yeah, I would encourage her. Like, Take her, just, take her to some local high school meets. Like, so she sits
So
there
she
and sees it, so she
sees.
can
That's
see, like,
cool.
That's a
it's
good
still
idea.
a team. Like, there's still relays and they're out on the
Right.
field and they're doing things, and you get your moment to shine when it's the 100 or 200, and then you can go back with your people.
Right.
Right. So I always tell people who say, my kid, I kind of want them exposed, but I don't want to, first of all, I don't want the time commitment until I know that he or she is
Sure,
ready.
sure.
2, I don't want the financial commitment.
Right.
Just go and have them sit and watch.
Right.
Like if she has an interest in volleyball, like I have parents, I'm like, just go and sit
Yeah.
and have the kid watch. And you don't say anything. You don't be like, on Johnny, like, look at it. Just let them naturally love it or hate it.
For sure.
And then move on. But yeah, it's too
I
much
just got to
time
do something with her legs.
Yeah.
I am curious your take on that, having been a competitive athlete and then also raising children. What do you do in that situation when you have your child try these things and they don't like it?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going to have to like something at some point, right? Or what do
Or
you
was
do?
it like that for you?
So there's a lot of challenges involved when you have, been an athlete, an elite athlete, and you are fairly knowledgeable, right?
Yeah.
And that's an understatement, but I say that when it comes to the kids because throughout them growing up, I didn't know how I was going to react, especially with my first one. They're all naturally gifted,
Oh, okay.
right? Like
All
my
right.
oldest and my youngest. So I have my oldest is 21. My youngest
Wow.
is a girl, 15. And they're built more like me. Like they're tall and they're lean. They're all naturally fast and all of that. And I didn't know if I was going to be, but I told myself I'm not, right? I want them to find their own space, right?
Mhm.
Forge their own path.
Yeah.
And I found the first challenge when they were growing up is that, like, and I didn't want to necessarily coach them, which is kind of controversial when it comes to my fellow friends, teammates, who are also parents, who potentially have chosen to coach their kids.
Yeah.
I chose not to, right? Like, I wanted just to be mom,
Mhm.
right? But my kids now think that, and from they were young, that their coach is God to that sport, right? Like even and I had them start very mild, like the YMCA,
Mhm.
right? Where it's cheap, there's no real commitment, it's volunteer parents. So I didn't think a lot. Like there's no pressure.
Right.
I know that, Tom, who's the basketball coach, probably only played junior high ball, right?
Mhm.
Cool. Let me just sit back, let my kid learn team skill. Anyways, but when the kids come to me and say, and I say, well, maybe you should, when you're shooting your free throw, just light stuff.
Yeah.
But Tom,
Yeah. You're like, but did Tom?
okay,
Yeah.
but I didn't go there yet because again, I put them in this league, so
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
So then they advance, and I put them in a different league, which is more time commitment, more skill level, more money.
Yeah.
Right. And the coach probably has a high school skill level of the sport.
Right.
But again, the kids come back. But Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's one of the biggest challenges. But just also knowing that they're not me, and they're not their dad, right? They're
Yeah.
them.
Right.
Right. And there's obvious like genetic stuff going on, and they can do stuff with their body, like
Nuts.
that use the other kids, like still letting them find their way, which is hard. Like I'm sitting on my hands trying to
Yeah.
there are little things that I used to speak up and say, like if they're not hustling, if they're not being a good team player,
Yeah.
right? If they're like, in essence, it came to mind, if you're wasting your time and my time.
Mhm.
But
Right?
that's mom duty.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
not under the coach because I'm doing
Right.
that watching my kid play baseball.
But there are just some things that like I would pick my battles sometimes, and in the car ride I would pick the skill that probably need the most talking about, like your ball handling, right? Like, hey, get it in your left hand sometimes, right? So that they even think that you have skill in both.
Yeah.
So I just kind of reverted to the idea of, mom, if they ask my opinion about it, great.
That's tough.
Wow.
It
That's
is tough.
relinquishing a lot.
It is relinquishing a lot, but it also, I think, has prepared me for like naturally, like in school now,
Yeah.
I find that like from when I was in high school to now, like parents, like they don't give us any control anymore. First of all,
Right.
everything's on the computer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the kids are connected with the teachers. Like I don't even know what assignment, I don't even know what classes they're taking. There's no communication with with the teachers. And I can remember, and maybe it's because I wasn't the best student, but my mom knew about all of my teachers.
Right.
Right. If
Yeah.
there was a hiccup, my teachers were messaging my mom. Right.
Wow.
Right. If I wasn't turning in assignments. So it was really a village.
Yeah.
And I find that it's not like that. I put my kids in public school purposefully too, right? So that they can just, my idea is that they're just exposed to everything because it's part of life, right? Like I had them in private school up to a certain age, a private Christian school, like good foundation stuff. Then I transitioned to a charter school.
Mm-hmm.
So a little more, but it's still tight. And then when they got to high school, I put them in public high school. I was like, you got to learn how to, if there's bullying, I hate it, right? It sucks, but it's life. You got to figure out how to navigate it. You got all that stuff. But man, losing control, and I'm a bit of a control, like it's tough for me, right? Like Libras, like we want it. It's better when we have a hand in stuff.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Right.
And just seeing them grow up and then losing that, I'm like, well, you might as well move out you might as well move out now. You're 15. You got it. Like, and she's
You
very
got this. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's very independent. I'm like, what am I here for? Like she comes down and makes her own food. I'm like, what do you want to eat tonight? Oh, I got it, Mom. Like,
Wow.
can I do something?
Yeah, I am scared of
Yeah.
that. I'm scared of letting go of any of that.
I'm scared of the stove.
But
But that's nuts.
She will bake. Like I did. What did I do for her last week? We swapped. I says, okay, y'all know she wanted to go to Hobby Lobby because Christmas stuff and pick up a few like seasonal things. I was like, cool. But while I'm gone on this trip, can you like bake some sugar cookies and have them ready when I come back? She's like, yeah.
I'm like, you'll have them ready when I come back.
That's cute.
I love it. So there's good things about the independent stuff, but also daughters, teenage. I love her. And
She's a teenager.
But you have to remind yourself that you love them sometimes.
I know. I
Yeah.
wonder what the teenagers are going to be like, often. Because I
Yeah.
just have my one girl.
Okay.
And we're so close.
Yeah.
And she's a pretty like mild-mannered child.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, when does it shift? Like,
Yeah.
what happens?
I think a lot of it also has to do with like, are you homeschooling? Does she go to school? Like, what the
Right.
friend situation is like.
Right.
Like, how much influence do they play in her life? Like,
True.
and like, my daughter's just so independent. She's fierce and fire, and it's all qualities that you want in your girl.
Mm-hmm.
But like when they're out in the world,
Right.
like you don't
Not
want
in the house.
Not in your
walking
home.
by you like, hey, I'm your mom, like without even like looking at you. And if you happen on a certain minute of the day, like say something that it's like, I love her.
Yeah.
We still do that. We're better, but we were hard on our moms.
Okay, yeah.
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 It was tough.
Like
Were
so
you?
close to my
Were you
mom,
tough on your
but-
mom?
Yeah. And we were never like close like that.
Yeah.
But then when I just, life happened early for me, a lot of
Yeah.
success when I graduated from college. And I had financial freedom. Like I had like the world's like was my oyster. You couldn't tell me anything. But that's I get it. That's natural. But man, if I can get that like 10, even 15 years back after I graduated from college, 'cause I was a pill. I didn't reach out. So like I was traveling the world. I was making poor choices when it came to relationships, and financial decisions, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, oh man. And she was right there. Like she's always right there and
Yeah.
always like would occasionally remind me like I'm hey. And I just was just a pill.
Oh, yeah.
But
And,
those were your lessons to learn. Like,
you're right.
I mean, reading about you,
Yeah.
there's been a whole lot of life packed in
Yeah.
a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's no coincidence in that. I don't believe.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there was so many, just even reading it, I'm like, there's so many lessons.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, I like to, this is an example that I like to give, that I got caught in a wave, right? And a wave of success. It takes you further and further out. It takes you away from like, kind of like reality, which I equate that as the shore, right? Like solid footing. And the more success, the more fame, the more people that I chose, right? And I'm old enough to now to say that I chose to have around me, who would pat me on the back and tell me, "Oh, you're so great," and all my yes people, right? And start to eliminate anybody that was a no person, like no, Marion, like that's dumb, that's stupid, like come on, like And these are also people that a lot of times they're people that you've known from a long time, your parents, your siblings, your friend from school, who'll be like, Rachel, Olivia, like that's stupid,
out of touch, or
right?
Yeah.
And
of course.
you will listen to them. You won't like it, but when you go back home or wherever, you'll be like, oh, yeah. But I chose to remove those people from my life, right? And I can definitely in my moments of reflection, like that certainly was a red flag, Marion. But getting a chance to see that, like I'm not even 50 yet, but I kind of know where I went wrong, right? And like it's not too late to like clean up relationships, and if they love you, they love you, right?
Yeah.
They love you in all your mess and all the good stuff. And my circle is very tight now. And again, I learned.
Yeah.
right?
I have a question about that, because to me it is fascinating that when you get successful, it's just a byproduct of success. People start saying yes.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, for me, one of the obvious reasons was, everybody benefits, right, from success, right? If even if they don't really want to, you have friends, right? Like they're along for the trip.
Right.
You go overseas, you tell your team, I want my best friend or I want my boyfriend or I want my husband. Like everybody goes along for the trip. Everything is taken care of, right? You want this car, you want X. There's no issue, right? So that's part of it. Also, some are attracted to that life. Fame. I want to be around the it person. I want to just dip my toe in that world. And I that's.
And do you think there's a fear, if I stand true to who I am, I will lose that, or I won't have access to that? Because you said you start to eliminate the people that are no's. I do think it's something that happens psychologically to the brain.
Yeah.
I think what happens is too with fame, and I don't think they talk about this enough, is the actual dopamine hits that people get from ego hits, from money, from success, from getting the win, from getting the attention, that it actually rewires your brain in a way where if you don't have those constant hits, you start to dip.
Yeah.
Right? And so then the brain is looking for more and more and more of those hits. And I think that psychologically it shifts to a point where when someone starts saying no, you're like, I'm not getting my medicine.
In a way, I mean, I use the examples of maybe it's a far reach example, but like rappers. Let's just use that example, whereby many of them will keep their loyalty is strong to their hood, to their people, like to their crew, right? And you'll see a lot of like their friends from their childhood around. But I also find that they still stay true to themselves, right? And so we can, like accuse them or say whatever about them, but there's something to be said in that. You keep your people who know you and who are not afraid to say, that's not right, or that's not cool, or that's not healthy, whatever that looks like. And I would definitely like, if I could do things differently, I mean, obviously the mom situation is a no-brainer. I would stay connected with her. But there are also a few people, friends that I distanced myself from.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's because they're like, come on, Marion, right? Like that person is like, stop. Just take a moment and stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're in love, right? Like all these things, just stop. Like, what are they getting out of the situation? And that's just one example if I could do things again.
This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack sponsor.
I start my morning really early, you know.
Yeah, it's insane.
Do you want to know how I do it?
Yeah, please.
IQ Joe.
Oh.
Jitter-free coffee. It's all natural caffeine, boosts my mood, my focus, and it gives me what I need to get out the door. And I love that it's got magnesium and lion's mane blend.
Yeah. Listen, all of you should start the new year off right with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees like she was just talking about. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all three. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our podcast listeners an exclusive deal. 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 7 IQ Bars, 4 IQ Mix Sticks, and 4 IQ Joe Sticks. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text IDEAS to 64,000. Text IDEAS to 64,000. That's IDEAS to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Support for Broad Ideas comes from Quince. With the new year comes a new opportunity. Just made a jingle, sorry. To reimagine ourselves and more importantly, our wardrobes. This year, I'm resolving to refresh my look with quality pieces and stay on budget. And I can thanks to Quince.
The sweater I'm wearing is from Quince.
You know, you walked in today and I was like, I need that sweater.
Quince.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone needs Quince's cozy Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50.
Such a good deal.
Yeah. And there's no better workout motivation than some new activewear. Their moisture wicking bras and leggings are designed to move with you during your workout. And Olivia and I work out.
We've been doing it together.
We've been doing it together.
Quince Athletic Gear.
That's right. Upgrade your closet this year without the upgraded price tag. Go to quince.com/ideas for 365-day returns, plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/ideas to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/ideas. Yeah, I think there's like something to be said, like, just in general, and I think people struggle a lot with like the dopamine hits of like Instagram likes, and like with like we have friends who, to them, if it's not fame, it's like, well, I'm famous today because I got however many likes on an Instagram post, but people really pay attention to that, and I just think that's like the craziest thing in today's society, and social media, and we talk about it a lot with kids and social media and stuff. And I'm just curious, like, how that's been for you with your children.
A whole other world. Well, let me just start by saying the whole social media climate is quite foreign to me, right? Like, again, I'm almost 50, didn't grow up in that world.
Right.
And even when it started to become a thing, I was like, I'm good. Until you realize like you have to, right? And I've been, because I discovered what I shared with you all just now about keeping things like really, really tight. When that became a necessary evil in my world, I was able to say, okay, nope, I'm not like filming everything in my life, right? Although that would potentially get more followers. Like there's a line that I will draw. But when it comes to my kids, oh my gosh, that is just constant, right? Like the big thing initially was the phone situation. Like, when do you get them one? When is it important? When do they need it? And you're like, okay, well, they do sports from an early age. I have other parents bringing them home, like Okay,
Right.
so they need a phone.
They need to
And
coordinate.
then do you give them a phone where it has one number on it? Like that limits them too, because what if I'm busy and I get, right? So then you get them a regular phone. Yeah. And then what are, I don't know if you all are kind of
We're not
in
there
that
yet.
world.
No,
Okay. And the
we're
kids,
not
the
there
kids don't
yet.
know phones?
No
Oh,
phone.
well, of course. You know, my daughter, we have had this talk.
Kids her age have phones?
They have Apple Watches. That's the thing.
Mm.
But I said, you're going to get a dumb phone when you get a phone.
Okay.
We talk about it. Even last night we were talking about it. She's like, well, can I play games on it? I was like, I don't know if it has games. But you can call and you can text. That much I know.
And to who? To text? Like,
Well, by the time she gets one, which will be years from now,
Mhm.
I mean, calling and texting, I feel like,
Yeah.
whatever.
And then you're like, okay, well, how do you manage it? How do you monitor it? How do you keep it tight? If they don't have it on their phone, like they'll be at a friend's.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing
Right?
is like the
Also, in
peers
like
around them.
when is it safe for them?
Mhm.
Because also there's a part of our culture. I had a conversation with my husband yesterday and he was a little deflated because he's a doctor. And he was talking about,
He's not 5'6", right? It's not sad, doctor.
he's 6 foot.
Okay.
He's not that. So I married that guy. Yeah.
Because you feel bad.
I was like, well,
Yeah. Let me make it up to you.
but he was talking about
I
writing
do.
a book and he was talking to someone that he really respected and was like, talk up to me about the process.
Uh-huh.
And, she very casually said, you have to have a following.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like,
Yeah.
I don't, like, he's like, I practice medicine. Like, I don't want a social media following. And I've been
Yeah.
trying to explain to him, I'm like, it's part of currency nowadays.
Yeah.
It
With everything.
sucks.
You had one day where
What?
he was like, he never posts or anything. And then there was one day, every minute.
Was it, did you get, yes, you had his phone?
I was like, this is so weird.
Everyone, people wrote him like, wow, Jeff, you're really killing it on the gram. And he's like,
What?
I was
He
like,
was
just give me your
firing
phone
off.
and I will do it for you. Like, he's like, that's the last thing this human being wants to think about. But I'm like, okay, so then we raise kids and we're like, no social media, it's toxic, it's bad.
Oh,
Yet when you get to a certain age, no matter what profession you want to do,
And you need to be efficient. And you need to be efficient in it.
yeah.
Right? Like you want to be successful, you got to know how to do it, when to do it. Like, right?
It's crazy.
The way that what I would tell him, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've told him already, right? Just budget that in. Like get somebody.
That's what I said.
Right?
Outsource it.
Yeah.
Outsource it. All you got to do is just keep your phone handy, which is a challenge for me too.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, right? Like my team is like, just record everything, and we'll clean it up and we'll edit it and stuff. But I just don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'll share this with you, and I won't give names or anything. But a friend of mine. I was on a plane recently and I'm sitting and I'm about to eat something before the flight. And she's an influencer,
Mhm.
right? And she gets on the plane and she has her phone, and it's recording. Well, even when she's just getting on the plane. And she sees me and we acknowledge, and she's so natural with it.
Wow.
And before the plane took off, I'm scrolling. She's already posted something
Oh
about
my
our
gosh.
interaction. That's how they do.
It's just
Every-
part
They
of
have
them.
to be, it's their job.
And it's
They're
natural
just
though
on
for her,
it. Yeah.
right? Which has been a challenge for me because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want, if I'm going to ask everybody in the room, are you okay with me recording
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
Yeah.
Are you okay with me
Right,
recording you?
right.
Are you okay with me recording
Yeah.
you? And most of the
You're like, 'cause
influencers,
I'm not.
right?
Yeah.
Ask me.
Ask me.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with
But
it.
they just think, they assume everybody's cool with it. Like, and I mean, even looking at this post the other day, and I'm like, this person in this seat, they never okayed it. They never signed anything.
That's where your mind goes.
That's
Yeah.
where my mind
Yeah.
goes. So it's just so hard. I mean, have them get a second phone,
Yeah.
right? I don't know how to know.
I know.
Yeah,
No,
Budget,
but
it stresses me out.
maybe it's important to hear from people like you that have achieved success in fields that really don't have anything to do with social media,
Yeah.
yet still are being asked, and like what you walk through with that, I think is really interesting.
It's and just again choosing and then maybe another way to kind of egg him on a little more is like the route of just information. to the masses, right? Like, I'm sure he's confident in his craft, right? And what he does. And the more people that can hear from him, what he does, the breakthroughs that he's studying, researching, like people want to know that stuff. Right. And the more that he can just record him talking about it. I'm sure if you get him in a room and he talks about what he loves, like he can go on and on and on.
Right.
Like just put that on his calendar. Right?
Right.
Once a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week for
Yeah.
20 minutes.
To do that.
For 20 minutes, just have him just talk to the camera. Like today, these are my challenges with whatever that is. And then
People do want to hear it,
and they
especially him. Like functional medicine
Yeah.
too. It's like,
Yeah, they do want to hear. Well, I saw a clip on something yesterday that was like, just to be clear, your social media is not for your friends and family.
Yeah.
It is for the people that need to hear what you have to deliver to the world.
yeah.
oof,
Period.
That's
pressure.
Like, I think it's better
Did you share
because
that with him?
no, yeah. I think it's actually better because I think the only time we hold ourselves back is when we're really judging what people are going to think of us, right? But the people out there in the world who want your advice are not going to, that's what they're coming for. Like if you took people through,
You think
here's,
they're coming for my advice?
they're coming for your fashion, yeah, 100%. And what you're doing for your skin, like they want to know all of it. What you're doing as a mom, what you're cooking,
Yeah.
you know, they do. And
How do you juggle all of this?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
They wanna
I
know.
would think
Just record me trying to like focus all the cameras and set up this podcast.
But again, but what I find, and this is a good like transition to like the more real you are.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like people want to see that, right?
Mhm.
I know that there are a lot of people that like are interested in me because I was able to run fast from here to there, right?
Mhm.
But I think that at this point, I can't run fast from here to there, right? So why are people still interested, right? Because I'm like, I struggle with things, right? Like I'm a mom, right? Like I'm a businesswoman, right? I'm navigating this social media world and I'm authentic about it.
Yeah.
And everybody can relate to that. You're relatable in that you struggle with this stuff. I think when you see people who and they're like, oh no, I got it all together. The camera, I'm like,
Who
okay,
cares?
peace.
Yeah.
That's not me. That's nothing about that world I can relate to. So let me keep scrolling to somebody else whom I can relate to.
Right. I had this problem last night because I couldn't sleep. So I'm just scrolling, right? And I found myself getting really depressed and I got so down. And I was like, why am I looking at all this shit that looks perfect?
Yeah.
And they're so happy. That's the greatest love the world has ever seen. It's perfect. You know,
Sure,
this
buddy.
child, like these accolades, like everything. And I'm like, fuck all of you know what I mean? Like I started to
Yeah.
feel angry. I'm like, why am I sitting here scrolling? It is affecting my mental health.
Yeah.
100%.
A lot of it is smoke and mirrors.
Right.
There's some truth to some of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But then I'm just fucking reading how perfect everyone's world is.
Yes, sucks.
And I was like, fuck all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I hope that helped you to go to sleep then when you
When I let it go.
Do you know what I do when I'm feeling like
What?
that? Because that happens to me too. I'll be scrolling. I'll be like, ooh, I feel icky. I don't feel good. I'm feeling envy or I'm feeling
Yeah.
these kind of feelings that don't feel good. I'll change my algorithm.
How do you do that?
right.
You type in, I'll put like Esther Hicks or I'll put like
Oh,
self-help
into
or
the
Gabby
search thing?
Bernstein or, you know, positive
Ah.
things. And then I'll start the algorithm on positive psychology,
See,
brain
that's so
health,
much better.
mental health. And then I'll start to chew on that. And then
I
by
knew
the
there's
end,
a reason I agreed to do this.
yeah.
That's
By the
great
end,
advice,
That's so good. I just
I
go to
feel
like real
better.
estate.
Yeah. Or that.
Hey, that's good too. But real estate, I might be like, I can't afford that
I know.
house.
Or then
so
you
it's
start looking
or
at the
Etsy.
market.
Exactly.
The market's rough. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
It could go another way.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
go
I
I
do
go
switch
other
it
places.
to the learning and that
That's
Very
better.
good.
So much better.
Thank
it
you.
helps. It's like a brain
Yeah,
cleanse.
yeah. Or it's like Etsy, online shopping, whatever. That's better.
That could
Yeah.
also go south.
That could
Very
go
south.
south. We're saying
All of my
not the
options are
shopping.
clearly
Yeah.
not the way to go.
I'm like,
If you learn anything today,
yeah.
don't listen to me. Don't come to my page for advice. Don't listen to me on this podcast.
But again, that's why she's going to get followers, right? Because
Exactly.
just like most people in this world, life is a shit show sometimes,
It is a
right?
shit show.
People want to be around.
they want to be around
like-minded.
the fucking messes of the world. I'm here for you.
Yes, exactly.
It's true.
It's true.
Oh my God.
It is
funny.
true.
I know. Okay. I want to talk.
Okay.
I want to talk about special forces because
Yeah.
holy shit, first of all, I haven't watched the show yet, but I've seen like clips and I know what it's about. And that looks so hardcore. I want to know everything.
All right.
Well, I know you can't
You
say
can't say
everything,
everything,
but
but
like I want to
what
know
you
about.
can say.
Yeah.
Okay. I would definitely recommend before you watch this season,
Yeah.
the season that I'm on, watch the other seasons.
Okay. Who won the first 2 seasons? Do you know? Nick won, right?
last
Vile.
season.
Oh, did he win?
Yeah.
Oh,
And he
wow.
actually was yesterday we taped the reunion
Yeah.
show and he was the host.
Oh, fun.
It was so good.
Yeah.
But watch those first 2 seasons so you can really see how badass our season is. Right.
Okay.
Like no doubt. Like they were tough, but
This was the toughest.
so when they reached out to me, I had never seen the show.
Mhm.
I'd kind of heard of it. So I did my research and I was like, okay, if this season doesn't have a lot of like cold temperature, like I can
Oh my God, I
do
love
this
that.
because
That's going
That's
to
what
in
I
my
would
heart.
look at.
Yeah.
I
100%.
cold weather.
No.
I
No.
am not a nice person.
100%.
Okay? I live in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But I said, I've never done some of the challenges, but I'm a
Yeah.
badass, right?
Yeah.
I do that stuff. And so I agreed to do it. And then I find out that it's in Wales,
Oh, that's
in
cold.
the UK.
That's cool.
And they don't tell you the challenges, of course, beforehand. They give you a light recommendation on how to train.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm an athlete. I stay fairly fit. All right. And I did some specialized stuff. Like I did some training with the Bergen backpack. Dare I not say backpack because we got in trouble on the show for calling it to the staff, to the
Right.
guys in charge.
okay.
So we got in trouble.
Got
All right.
Got it.
It's a Bergen. Okay. And so I did some training with that and it's heavy. So getting it on and off. And I knew there were going to be some water challenges. And although I can
cold.
swim,
Mm-hmm.
I swim not to drown and so that my kids didn't drown.
Right.
I'm not like
Yeah.
going
Survival.
from here and here
Yes.
and here. Right. So I worked a little bit on that, a little more confident. But then beyond that, like, let's just see. I'm also, secretly, I've always had an affinity to special forces,
Mhm.
training, that type of stuff. Because in a
Mhm.
different world, I think that I could have succeeded in that
Mhm.
world.
Absolutely.
And so that's also what intrigues me. And then, of course, lastly, the idea of like, I'm on a comeback of sorts myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that not only I could prove to myself, like that I'm almost 50, that I've been through some shit, right? That this is people need to see this, right? Like, yeah, again, they can't relate to being an Olympic champion. They can't relate to how fast I've run and this success, but they can relate to shit happening
To
in
the
life.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And people need to see other people in that world. Most people know the story, right?
Yeah.
And they know that in a way there's a comeback of sorts. So she did all this and she's trying this. Okay. So that, I signed my name. I'm doing it.
In Wales, in the cold.
Well, yeah. Okay. And I thought, okay, come on, Marion, toughen up. It's like, I'm hearing coaches in my ear, like on all my almost 50 years of being around coaches. Come on, Marion, suck it up. Right.
Mhm.
Okay, I got it. Nothing that I could have done, trained, could have prepared me for it.
Wow.
What?
And this is not
Really?
me like being grilled by producers saying, say X, Y, and Z
Yeah.
about how hard the show was. The most blanket intense experience I've ever been a part of in my life.
Truly.
Yeah, truly. Like, so we had, I got an opportunity recently to be with the cast, and this was our first time that we'd been together since we'd all experienced this together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they do a really good job. Fox did a great job in putting together a cast of characters that are very different
Hmm.
from all walks of life, with the hope maybe one that there's drama or that.
Of course.
And
It's television.
But what happened was when the survival mode kicks in and you realize that I have to depend on these people. I don't care who such and such is or who's this. like these are like my brothers and my sisters, and you forget that it's you signed up for this and that it's a show. Like you literally forget that.
Yeah, you're in.
They help you to forget that. And it was real. It was real. They made it as real as you can. I mean, and it's not to take away anything from like our true special forces and the people who have to go through that.
Yeah.
But you're talking about people who have no background in military.
Right.
None. So usually when people get to the part of their career where they're training for special forces, they've already been in the military for a while. They know that world. They know a certain sacrifice and discipline and physical component. No, we have nothing, right? And we are dumped into this situation and you have to figure it out.
Wow.
Tears, pain, fear of things that I can't even write. Like obviously can't share details, but if you're not a fan of the show, you don't know about the show, I highly recommend that you watch this season. And it'll give you a whole new perspective, not on just what your favorite celebrities were put through, but like truly what these individuals who sacrifice everything for our freedom around the world, like just a little taste of what they have to go through on such a minor level.
Wow.
Such a minor level. So that gave me a whole new respect for it all.
Broad Ideas is sponsored by BetterHelp. Olivia,
Yes.
what do you want your 2025 story to be?
I want it to be a really good one.
Me too.
The cool thing about January is it brings you 365 days of blank pages. So we get to write what story we want.
Yes.
And I think of therapy as like an editorial partner helping write new chapters and create meaningful stories that we actually deserve to live.
You know what? I'm such a fan of therapy. It has helped me so much, especially over the past, I guess it's 5 years now. It's been a very interesting ride. I really feel like it's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. And it's not only for those who have experienced major trauma. It's helpful no matter what. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/ideas to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ideas.
What does that do for you? Because, you hear so often with personal growth, like you got to put yourself outside of your comfort zone. You should scare yourself. You should try things, take risks, all of that. On the other end of it, do you feel the rewards of putting yourself through that?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And everything that I just said in terms of it being intense and facing your fears, like, would I do it again? I would totally do it again, minus the cold.
Cold is a thing.
The
No,
cold's
it's a
The cold is a
thing.
thing that you can't control.
No.
You don't know how your body's going to react and freeze up, and when you're wet, trying to put on stuff really quick. And again, stop. Think about that. These individuals who are in this training, they have to figure that out.
Right.
And the enemy, somebody who is literally coming to annihilate them, is
No.
30 seconds behind them. And you got to get this stuff on. So I'm thinking, I'm shivering. I can't put on this. Stop all the belly aching, right? Like put yourself in that situation. You will figure it a way to get it on. It might not be on perfectly, but it's on. You get on your shoes, you got to go. Like that type of stuff. So yes, like there was a lot of growth. There was a lot of just confirmation that life is not done when shit happens.
I love that.
Life
perseverance.
can go on, right? And if you're searching, looking for an example, like a living example of that, like watch the show, right? Like follow my journey. Like you can reframe, you can rebrand, right? Like a lot of people know me from track. Like it's just a different world.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad, it is an experience that is unforgettable.
Wow.
And
Because I've never seen it, right?
Yeah.
And I want to watch you in it
Yeah.
now 100%.
Go watch season 1, season 1, 2, and season 2.
And then
so
watch
that you
yours.
can see how badass this season
Got
is.
it. Okay.
Okay.
To compare. Okay, 100%.
She's like, don't miss.
I would also though
Yeah.
not be careful watching it around your kids.
Oh, I'm not
initially.
watching it.
Oh,
She
no, no,
can't.
no.
Yeah,
okay.
like or even like
Mine can watch it.
Their
but
kids like favorite movie at 2 years old was Die Hard, so like they're fine.
okay.
yeah, we're okay.
Yeah, they're okay in that household. But yeah, I won't be watching. So is it like challenges? Is it teams or are you independently? It's like you going,
There's both.
competing.
There's both.
There's teams.
and there's not. We don't really compete against each other. You either like fail the mission or you pass
Got
the
it.
mission.
And so
right?
how you win the whole thing is just like basically winning every
and
mission.
again, there's no. Technically, there is no win, but if you
Oh.
survive
Like last
all
man
10
standing?
days, right,
Wow.
and every
Got it.
survive and not
Yeah.
tap out or not get injured
Okay.
or
Okay.
and you're able to experience it all, like you would be considered as special forces worthy, like you would be considered to be part of the team.
So can multiple people at the end
Yeah.
be quote unquote winners?
yes.
So don't you think you're I want you to coach your kids. I'm like, you would be the best coach to ever do it. I'm like, wait a minute. Having gone through everything you've gone through, the amount of effect. I know you do a lot of public speaking and all of that stuff, but I'm like,
But I also
Yeah.
so part of like what I do now is I coach entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Like in their comeback story, right? Like if they, had a passion to sell something on Etsy and I don't know, and it fell through and it didn't work out, or there's a bankruptcy, or there's a repositioning later in life, or like, no, this is my passion. Like I coach entrepreneurs on how to make a comeback.
love it.
And so it's not particularly, I found even in dabbling in some coaching of sports, that it's very hard for me.
Interesting.
Because it was an intense worker bee, disciplined, all that. But I was also like, I'm really gifted physically, right? Like I figured like my body out early on what it can do, how fast it is, how strong it is. And a lot of that is just so natural that I would find when I would coach young athletes and that is hard. Right?
You're like, do this. And they're like, I'm trying.
Right. And although like I have I train people in fitness still virtually, all that. I love that. I love the body and what it can do. And I know the science behind it all. But sometimes I'm just like, just run faster.
Yeah. But
Right,
sometimes that's the answer, right?
Sometimes it is. But in regards to like the mental part of it, that is what I wish that in regards to my own kids, right? Like they were more accepting of like, okay, physically I was gifted, but like the mental part of this, like I am an expert at it.
Right.
Right. But again, I say that I'm parenting and teaching and loving on them in a way that they're
They're
still.
absorbing it. Yeah, for sure.
Just seeing how I function and how I respond to, stuff in my life and how I verbalize it or not, because there's a need for that not verbalizing certain things sometimes.
Sure.
And that I think is a good way to parent. And what I share with my friends who are elite athletes who are now parents and retired from their sport who have decided to coach their kids, and when we have our discussions about it, like that is my argument, right? Like my kids are still getting what they need to out of it, and at the end of the day they will never be able to say, oh mom, like push me into this sport.
True.
Right? If they're in the sport, it's because they chose it, right? They were exposed to the sport. I watch it, like different sports, and along the way, when they say, "Mom, I have an interest," just
Great.
like your daughter. Okay, here, let's go out and watch. You want to take it a next step further? Let's you and I go for a run, right? Just you and I and hang out.
Yeah, try that. Right.
I'm like,
Are you not a runner?
Oh no.
No.
I am like
Okay.
the most opposite of a runner.
Okay. Are you a brisk walker?
I can walk. I don't know that I call
thought
it
you
brisk.
said risk walker. I said that's exactly what it is when she
That's
walks.
my middle name.
Risk walker over here.
But there again, there are so many different ways to help them figure it out.
Yeah.
When you're just like kind of holding their hand, and so they know, okay, mom is there. I'll be good. I'm safe. Or even if she decides to try the track thing, you'll be there.
Yeah.
Right. You'll make sure that the coach, knowledgeable, like all that stuff, the kids, it's a fun experience for her,
Yeah.
which needs to be the basis, of course, of it all.
Right. Well,
She
see, that's
enjoys
where
it.
that's where I come from.
Mhm.
Like, I want her to enjoy it and have fun. You know, her dad is way more like mentally like athlete.
Yeah.
You're gonna do the thing.
Mhm.
You're gonna practice.
Which
the
you need
thing.
that too.
You need
Right,
both.
so
Yeah,
it's a
you do.
balance,
Yeah.
and it's a good balance
Mhm.
because I'm totally the opposite. I'm like, honey, if you like it, and if you're chasing butterflies on the soccer field, so be it. You know,
Yeah.
like that's me. If you're happy, great.
Yeah.
But he's like, you got to get your foot, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is, you do need
You need the
that.
balance.
I feel like you guys have that a little too.
I'm actually more of the strict. I am.
Uh-huh.
I'm like,
Did you do any sports?
No. Well, I did gymnastics.
Okay, so did I.
Yeah, I love
Until
gymnastics.
I got too tall.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
Was that your problem?
Yeah, that was my
Touche,
problem too.
That was
Yeah,
my
yes, yes,
problem.
yes. Yeah, we got kicked out of gymnastics for being too tall.
Yeah.
I'm dead. That's so good.
It's so good.
But one of the things I also think, like, everybody knows your story. We don't need to go into it. Like, it's there. The thing that's most inspiring to me is that so many people get broken for far less than
Mhm.
what you've been through. And that is a story of, it is a comeback story, but it's not just a comeback. Like, you've been here the whole time doing it. Like, you've taken steps. You're not just like, I'm back.
Mhm.
You know, I'm curious, through everything you've been through, what has been the most humbling?
Touche on the question. You can imagine that throughout my years, I've been asked like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a very unique one. I would have to say, I would have to say friends that I maybe reconnected with from before my success. Them sharing with me the level of, in essence, disappointment, right?
Mhm.
When I made poor choices and, of course, the consequences, and them having to tell their kids, right? It's like,
Mhm.
this is what my good friend, my former teammates, this is what she did.
Mhm.
Right. And these are the consequences. And me in their household becoming like a life lesson. So that's been a little bit humbling, but I always kind of turn it sometimes now. I'm at a point where I'm like, enough tears have
Yeah.
been cried.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
I turn it into a little bit of laughter. I'm like, well, at least I'm still a part of your household. Like, and it's for the good now, right? But that was humbling. That has been humbling. And people that I meet who say, gosh, Mary, like we were with you every step of the way, and we believed you when you said certain things, and we were all about defending you, right? And they were on my team. And then when you admitted to certain things, we felt just lost, right? And I don't know, like a lot of times I don't even know these people, and I'm thinking, gosh.
Don't make me your God. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you realize, then I just like rack that up to, man, like I am really blessed
Yeah.
to have been given this life.
Mhm.
And that my story, I'm a believer. So like my story, I believe, was already even written for
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
And the story of the comeback has also been written.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And my reach, my impact on the world, I think now is more significant
Mm.
than if I was just a gold medalist.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
I know there were a lot of fans that I had when I ran and when I won. But I think at the end of the day, in this season of my life and the next season, hopefully, people are interested in my world and my journey because they see some sort of hope and inspiration.
Mhm.
It's not just because of like my physical gifts.
Right.
Which are cool. I'm not downplaying that.
Yeah.
That's great. That's just awesome. But like to be able to help people's lives be better. Running fast from here to there doesn't make people's lives better. I mean, maybe it brings them some joy,
Sure.
Couple
temporary
minutes of-
joy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I think the testimony now is that, wow, like she can do it. I can do it in my potentially smaller world, right? If she can do this in front of the world,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
can do it in my community, in my family,
Right.
right? In my relationship, I can do this.
Absolutely.
And so that's ultimately what people ask. Well, what do you want to be remembered for? Da, da, da.
Mm.
Like that would be pretty cool to me. That my legacy is one of, like you can do hard stuff even when
Mhm.
life is not as it's
Life
like how
gets
you
lifey.
planned. Right?
Life
When
gets
is
lifey.
So
You brought up, the most humbling being like your friend's kids,
Mhm.
right? And like that's so beautiful and interesting. And like it always for me too, like goes to the kids. Now with your own kids, have there been like dialogue and conversations about what you've experienced?
oh yeah.
And I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, when everything was going down, I have three. My boys were younger and was very strategic. And when I decided to share certain things, and then of course with social media and internet, like you're like, oh, Marion, if I could have been born just like 20 years earlier, right? Like there wouldn't have been as much
Yeah.
documentation
Right.
of everything. But you just have to make the decision on when you think they're mature enough to understand.
Yep.
And once you share certain things with them, you just know that potentially there could be hard moments in their life in school and especially in sports, that people know who their mother is and they could have potentially and probably an opinion
Mm-hmm.
one way or the other of the mother, right? Which then a lot of times then will seep into their opinion of the kid, which shouldn't happen, but I get it.
Totally.
Especially if they decide to participate in a sport that
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
participated in. But again, you teach, you mentor, you parent in a way where the child, and I'm grateful to have just wonderful kids, know that that's not their story.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be willing to say that to somebody if it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mhm.
haven't shared that it has come up. People know who their mother is, their parents are, and all that. We'll just cross that bridge when it comes to. I am that supportive parent. My two oldest boys, the oldest ran track and was successful for a little while, decided to not do it. My middle son, is an athlete at a Division I school close to where we live.
Mm-hmm.
He's pursuing his dream. He decided that he wanted to pursue it later on in high school.
Yeah.
Obviously gifted, scholarship, all that is pursuing that. I have a daughter who I think loves volleyball and again is naturally gifted, probably will run track. So you just cross that bridge in terms of any negative stuff when it happens. But again, they know the story. They know that poor choices were made.
Yeah.
Severe consequences were dealt
Yeah.
with. And that is
Dealt
actually,
with. That's the part.
Right.
and that is like always when they were growing up. And one of the biggest reasons why I made the choice to, come clean and say certain stuff, because I was being reminded when I tell them and discipline them, okay, you've made a poor choice. Now, what are you going to do about it? Are
Mhm.
you going to continue to cover it up and see how long that gets you or how far that gets you? Or are you just going to deal with the consequences? But I wasn't, I was a hypocrite. Like I wasn't doing it. So that's one of the reasons I made the choice. Done. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Consequences are consequences. I'm going to face them. Certainly didn't think that they were going to be as severe as they were because it had never happened before.
Right.
But again, what do you do about it? You deal with it.
Mhm.
You deal with the consequences. If you make the choice, you deal with the consequences.
That's life.
And you figure it out along the way. So again, every decision I make now, whether it's special forces or podcast or travel here or speak here. Everything is for them to be able to put the timeline together at some point in their lives. And they will later on. Like, okay, a lot of success. Mom's talented, a star, da da da. Poor choices, consequences, right? But then she didn't give up, right?
Right?
So then she's crushing this show. She's here. She's there. She's sharing her story with the hopes of like hoping people find hope, inspiration, when I am not talking usually about awesome stuff, right? I'm talking about my hard life, hard story, which nobody wants to constantly do, right? So again,
unless you know you're helping someone when you do.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, like they will do the timeline and see, oh, all right, like this can be done. So hopefully at some point when they go through a hiccup in life, and they will at some point, whatever that is, they can use mom, right, as an example. Like, come on, right? Like there's no, I think, more shining example of somebody who's led the life that I live and is still like, I'm here.
That's right.
And filled with excitement still and life. And it's just such a light. It reminds me, I'm sober, so I'm part of a program. And I watch this happen with people on a daily basis. The difference is the world isn't watching. So that's the only difference between people I come in contact with every day and you. There was choices, there was consequences, and now we get to live a life of living amends. And what we do, it's like when you share in a meeting, it's like what it was like, what happened, and what is it like now? And in those three pieces are exactly what you just explained. That's how we in our program help people. That's the medicine. And I think about your choices, and I think about all the choices of so many people I know, some of them way more dramatic, that they always suffer the consequences, but they didn't have the world watching. And that's the part that, like, I bow down to you in that, because that could crush the human spirit. Or it could gift you with the opportunity to live a life like you're living and like make a living amends and show what it's like to actually have that.
I think that's the way, like, in showing your kids that.
Yeah.
What that is, like, huge, you know?
And you know, to sit here and say that, like, it's all positive, and I don't sit and reflect sometimes, you know, and stir and stew in my own mess, right? In terms of like, why, da da da. But just what you shared, knowing that people's lives now, like, are for the better because of knowing my story, because of seeing my journey, that allows me to catch my breath when I get in those moments. Which is also, people need to know that, right? Like, even once you come out of the storm, right? Do not think that it's always going to be like California weather, right? Like there will be storms again, and there might be days and weeks and months, I don't know, where you feel like you're going a little bit backwards, right? Whether it's you're struggling with mental health or whatever it is. But and so I keep that real. Right? Like the majority of my days are great, right? Like I figuring stuff out, but there are days and moments where like, right? Like seeing every 4 years the Olympics come around.
That
right? As much as I love it, and I love sport, and I love like competitiveness of it all, and the athletes, and that, there's always a moment every 4 years that I'm reminded, oh, Marion. Right? Which is tough. But I tell people that so that they prepare when they're on their comeback, right? So they prepare for it. They prepare for the little, like, I like to say, the little speed bumps. Right? The little hiccups. Do not think that it's, it's so fast, it's clear, it's easy, right? And hopefully it is for you, but probably there will be some
triggers are your gifts, right? Because that means that that shows you where it needs to be healed. Do you watch the Olympics or do
Oh,
you
yeah, I
avoid it?
do.
Oh, you do?
I do. I
Okay.
do now. I'll
Okay,
tell you,
good. Yeah.
there was a little while there after everything happened where I just stayed away from it. Mainly, well, one of the reasons was because my name was just dropped a lot during those times, and it was negative. But now, like my kids are athletes. We love sport. It's a thing, and I pull for the athletes, and I love watching it. I love watching it and pulling for the USA and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That's great.
That's huge growth.
So,
Well,
I think so.
we're going to love
Yes.
watching Special Forces. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that much right now. Be rooting for you.
It's so amazing.
Yeah.
The experience was amazing. It's hard. It's tough. There's just a lot of
Oof.
drama.
I feel like it's
but-
always cold. I watch the commercials and it always looks cold every season.
Well, because
one of the
that's
seasons
torture.
Wasn't cold?
was somewhere else. Right? It wasn't as
Okay.
cold. Yeah.
Wait,
This looks
and
cool.
you're also training for a triathlon.
Right. It's like, okay, can I add another thing to my plate? Right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So it's always been on my bucket list to do a try. I have so much respect for those athletes being able, like, to train for one discipline
Mhm.
is intense enough. To train for 3 disciplines, right, is a whole other
Right.
beast. And so I've very much respected those athletes for a long time, and had always told myself that if I was able to like commit to it, like, and I don't do anything like half-ass. So if I do it, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
And then life just happens, right? And I'm like, I got my business, I'm traveling, I'm doing all this stuff. Where do I fit in any type of training? So let me continue to put that like on the back burner. And a business partner of mine, I competed in her first try this year. After just an incredible year of growth for her, my business partner lost over 100 pounds.
Wow.
You know, I had a little part in helping her get there, and I surprised her and her sister, who was also competing in her first try, and showed up at the try. It was a small try in North Carolina, and I just surprised them. And I didn't know how much I was going to get out of it by seeing her in that moment.
Oh,
Like-
it makes me emotional.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And I left that competition saying to myself, tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody. You need some type of physical challenge. Like, that's who I am. Like, I've been away from that for so long. Make time. Make time. Right? Like, I am blessed that I have the resources that I can move things around. I can make it happen. Do it.
Mhm.
Right. And so, I started the journey a few months back. I decided on a try that I'm going to compete in 2025. It's humbling. You talk about being humbled, right? Like, I don't consider myself a runner. I used to run fast from here to there.
Mhm.
Not like,
Long. Yeah.
okay, so there is a challenge in the
Mhm.
run aspect of the try. Again, I can swim, but as I shared with you all, I swim not to drown, and so my kids don't drown.
Right.
And so learning proper swimming technique at almost 50, like how to breathe,
Oof.
how to your
Yeah.
arm stroke, right? There's a challenge. And then you talk about the bike situation. Again, I know how to bike. I know how to bike with my kids around the block.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Leisurely.
Right. I'm not in a position for an hour plus with your back. And let's talk about the saddle or the seat.
Oof,
whatever that is.
It hurts.
situation. What?
Why?
Why?
Why can't they change
figure
it?
it out?
Like, when I was a kid, and I'm talking like, my seat was big and
Yeah, of
wide.
course it
And it
was.
was comfortable.
Cushy.
It was
I
a
could be-
banana seat.
I could be on
Yeah.
that all day.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. What is up with that? They are the tiniest,
It
thinnest.
hurts.
It hurts so bad.
Until it doesn't. And that's
Oh.
where you get to a point. Yeah.
Really?
The beginning.
Do you wear the shorts that have the
Oh,
pads in them? You have to, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But when you're out, now I'm to a point where I'm training on the bike for hour plus, right? You're on, and it down there, it just says, is this all you're going to give me? Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just becomes numb
Fun.
after a while until you hit a little dip
Ow.
in the road. And you're like,
But
oh,
why? I want to know the why.
Yeah. Why? Why can't
Why?
they put a pad on top of it?
We're going to
Yeah,
research
it
it. I
adds
know there
weight
has
to
to be
it.
a
I mean,
reason.
there's a reason.
but here's talking about
a reason
things
it was
that
probably
doesn't-
designed by a man.
I was going right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So when
listen,
I
they
was-
don't have
when I
anything
was
down there that's going to.
when I was competing, I used to wear the shorts,
Mhm.
right? And you'll notice most of the women, even then and now, wear the bikini briefs.
Right. Yes.
Right. And I'm conservative, family. That's for like the pool. You jump the pool in that, right? Or you're home and underneath your clothes. Anyways, I used to tell people if it was going to make you run faster, the men would be wearing it.
Right.
Right. So why is it just the women wearing these little itty bitty outfits? And so right. So we can, let people's own opinions. But I was like, no, like there's no, is it more comfortable? Like maybe their argument is that it's more comfortable for the women. No, I think I tried once in my career to wear it. And at the end of the race, like you couldn't see it anymore because it was in a, right. Like, and maybe it's because of my anatomy and I didn't have anything to keep it in place.
No.
But again, we get back to that. Like, I don't know why, but that's the way that it is. So yeah, I've been training now. Looking forward to kind of making, and I don't know where it's going to go. Right? Like, like, I don't know. I have no real desire to be a Olympic triathlete. No, this is for like me.
Yeah.
And I train hard. I'm blessed and talented, but also it doesn't rule my world.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy it. I want to love it. I'm going to be competitive. We'll see how that looks.
Right.
But I will do the best that I can. Right.
Mhm.
And that to me doesn't necessarily mean first place, right? It always has. Usually the best that Marion can give with something physically is usually first place. But I don't know. I'm going to be 50 years old. I'm going to be participating in a sport I never have, doing disciplines I never have in a foreign environment. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I love it. I love that you're doing it.
Really quick, what were your thoughts on Tyson fighting?
Oh my.
Come on. Did you watch it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I just want to know what your thoughts on the age gap, like what your
elite athletes all have a common theme in our brains in that we can always be great at our discipline, at our sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you get, like really in the back of my mind, if you give me 1 year to train, like I could be competitive in my sport again, right? It's not realistic, right? Like I'm almost 50. Like these girls are, no, it's not. But in here
it is.
Like, and so people are amazed like that, these boxers, and usually you see is in the boxing world that they come back and they do this, but I understand it, right? Now, are there other probable factors involved in terms of money, in terms of whatever? Yes. But I truly feel that Mike he could have done
100%.
Yeah.
it.
I thought in my head.
I will tell you. I will tell you though, and it's also because Mike is in my time frame. Like I grew up watching him, right?
Yeah.
So heck yeah, Mike's gonna go and destroy. But then when I saw the fight, okay, first there's the Netflix thing, right? Like.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Netflix, right? Like, for you not to think that the bandwidth is going to be crazy. Anyways, that's a whole other story. It just seemed really staged. To me, I was disappointed with that.
I didn't watch it, so that's why I'm.
I was disappointed in that. I was disappointed in seeing like some footage that I know of Mike training up to it and how he looked compared to how he looked that night.
Right.
And right, like the character who fought him, okay, the character who fought him. It's just so I was just disappointed in it that if he was coming back, you either go out, like you go out, like if this is the last time you will ever fight, like you go out like that.
Yeah.
You get hit, maybe you go down, but man, you go out fighting.
Yeah.
And for that to be probably the last time that we see him fight.
I'm like hoping so.
Right. On one hand.
Let's
on one hand, but then for that to be the lasting image, maybe not for you and I, because we've seen him in other fights, so we know what he can do. Yeah. But there's a generation that really never
saw
seen him. And for that to be the lasting image of arguably the greatest fighter ever besides Muhammad Ali. That makes me sad. That
Same.
makes
No,
me
I
Do you
very
think
hear
he
you.
got
sad.
paid to lose?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
work for
I don't know. I didn't watch it, so I'm just like curious,
seemed-
like
it
opinion.
was kind of like treading water, right?
Yeah.
Like they were
They were like dancing
like,
and
you would have seen the girls before. Oh my Lanta.
yeah,
That was, I mean, these women fought their heart out.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was next level.
Now I feel like I
right?
need to go back and watch
You should.
it.
Am I right? Those women.
It was amazing.
Oh no, I
That was-
It was
Oh,
amazing.
okay.
And it's just so perfect in this generation of women's sports.
Yeah.
Like that they stole the show.
Oh, they stole the whole
Oh
night.
really?
Oh, beyond.
I mean, you
I like
you
that.
talk
That's
about
cool.
putting it all out there.
I've never
You know,
seen
they're
a fight that
skilled.
good.
So it wasn't like, when women's boxing first started, there was a lot of this, right? And it was
No.
skilled. Like they knew what they were doing. They had so much heart. It's controversial with the eye gash and
Yeah.
the headbutting and stuff, but that's boxing.
That's boxing.
Oh, and there's a little controversy at the end because who won? People didn't think she was supposed to win, but whatever.
It was
Right?
Oh,
For, I hope, kids, men, boys, girls to see that fight. Like that is the lasting image of such a huge card that night. And you take away, okay, the Mike situation. But did you see the women?
that's everybody.
How often, now we're in a generation now that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But did you see the women's game? Did you see that tennis match? Did you see?
Yes.
Like that
Yes.
is awesome to me. The Mike situation was a disappointment.
Yeah. But the women did win the night. They won the
it
night.
Was great. It was great.
It
Well,
was
you've
really
won
something.
our day.
Oh,
Yeah, you
thank
won.
You win.
You won broad ideas.
Hey,
Congratulations.
So you didn't even know it was a competition, but
Yeah.
you won.
it's always a competition.
Yeah.
But
Aw,
thank y'all.
It has been so nice talking to you.
y'all as
Thank
well.
you so
Yeah, this
much.
has been amazing.
You're very
We're
welcome.
really excited for Special Forces.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't wait.
I know.
We'll report back.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thanks, y'all.
much.